What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and here we are today looking at the Sword and Shield era in its totality and how it has performed month over month. Now, this is a video series that I started doing not long ago, and I'm really stoked about it, right? Because it is important for us to, I'm guilty of it. A lot of PokeTubers do it, and I'm sure all of us do it as well, but we get really focused on certain segments of different eras. We'll talk about full art trainers, or we'll talk about booster boxes, or I did a video not long ago on trainer gallery cards. I did a video on, my full art trainers and PSA 10 slabs under $50 that I think are great opportunities right now. And all of that is well and good, but in the middle of the Poke market that we're in right now, which is in the middle of a correction, right? Prices are coming down. We want to play chess when everybody else plays checkers. So understanding how different eras as a whole are performing month over month won't help us know when the bottom is. Nobody knows where the bottom is. I don't, you don't, none of your favorite PokeTubers do either. But it can certainly give us a little bit of indication as to when things start to normalize a bit because, hey, we all want to feel really good when we're spending our Poke dollars, right? And now I will say this, we don't just look at top 20 cards on here. We also look at booster boxes. We look at ETBs. We look at Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. We look at all kinds of fun stuff here because, again, we are looking for trends in the market and we're looking for different types of opportunities. So with that being said, as I said, I started this a couple months ago. Here's how the top 20 cards have performed over the last couple months. So you will see from September to October, the top 20 cards in the 12 sets from the Sword and Shield era that have booster boxes in them, they dropped. Their total value dropped by $408 or -6% from September to October. Now, from October to November, it dropped $273. So a lesser degree of depreciation, right? It came down 4%. But I will say this, you got to take that with a grain of salt because as we get into this video, you're going to see that there's only one or two cards that had a big price appreciation, which really helped offset that. So overall, as a whole, I would say the era in their top 20 cards is declining at pretty much the same rate as it was in the previous month. Now, when we look at booster boxes, hey, booster boxes have declined at the same rate, which isn't a whole lot, right? Like September to October, the total value of all 12 booster boxes in Sword and Shield was only down $48. Now, October to November, it's the same thing. It's down $47. And again, as we get into this, you're going to see that there's some that go up and some that go down. And there's some really interesting and really cool stories to be told as we start to see how some of these awesome sets from Sword and Shield are shaking out. Now listen, I'm going to give my selfless plug as I always do. We are building an amazing community here, and as I said, we do stuff like this all the time, so if this kind of data approach gets you excited, hit that subscribe button. If you have questions or comments, drop them down below, and as always, if you find value in the content, give us a thumbs up. It goes a long way in helping my small channel out, and I really appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get into the first couple sets here. So we're looking at Silver Tempest and Lost Origin. Now we'll start with the booster boxes, right? Both of these booster boxes month over month are down 10%. Silver Tempest is in the $115 range and the Lost Origin ones are down below $130. Now, what I am going to say is this, Silver Tempest has really been under a ton of pressure lately, right? It's the last set that came out in Sword and Shield. It has been through a restock, like the singles prices are still in the middle of their Pokemon pop and flop. Plus, the entire market as a whole is on a downward trend. So poor Silver Tempest has just been getting the tar beaten out of it. Now, when you look at the singles prices, look at that. It is down 13% month over month. That is massive for a set that has been out for over a year. But again, I don't think it's a reflection of Silver Tempest individually. I think it's a combination of a whole bunch of external factors that are going on right now. Now you look at Lost Origin, and I'm a huge fan of Lost Origin in the long run. It is another set that has gone through a restock, and it is really interesting and exciting to me to see the booster box price below $130. I still think booster boxes for Lost Origin in the $120, $130 range, I still think if you're looking at a long-term buy and hold investment, I think that is a great entry point. Now, the other thing too is, look, the singles prices have also come down. Last month, both of these sets, their single prices, the top 20, were down exactly 5% each. However, this month, Silver Tempest is down 13% and Lost Origin is down 8%. So we're seeing a greater rate of decline in the single card prices. Now, the other thing that I want to call out too, if you look at the very bottom, we do the average of the top 20 cards versus booster box price. Now, on my channel, we do a ton of data dives. We do a ton of backdating. Like, we do a lot of research, and we have found that there is a correlation between booster box price and the average of the top 20 cards. So the higher that ratio, like you see in Lost Origin right there, that tells us that there's more value in there, right? Because the booster booster box is selling at a depressed price compared to the value of the top 20 singles cards. And again, we've done tons of research on this, and it seems to be an indicator that the booster box price has room to run. So when I see that, that is really, really exciting. The single prices came down, but the booster box price came down as well, giving that average to booster box price ratio a pretty good lift right there. But overall, look at all the sealed product. Pokemon Center ETBs are down, regular ETBs are down. Everything for these two sets are coming down. Silver Tempest, I'm not quite sold on yet, but I do think Lost Origin is a great buy and hold for those long-term collectors and investors out there. Now, getting into the next one right here, we have Astral Radiance and Brilliant Stars. Now, Astral singles bounced back. Last month when we looked at it, only one card out of the top 20 was up month over month. This month, there's a decent amount of green there, right? You see the Pokemon Center exclusive ETB month over month has made a little bit of a price increase there for Astral Radiance as well. However, the booster box is down just slightly at 3%. But what concerns me about Astral Radiance is look at the chase card. As you go through this, even those two sets, even Silver Tempest and Lost Origin, obviously before, you know, they at least had a chase card over $100, but Astral Radiance is sitting there at $83 as the big chase card. That gives me some cause for concern because in the long run, you know, everybody likes sealed products, but they also like having a big chase card that's possibly hidden in those sealed products. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on. Then we get to Brilliant Stars right there. Nice little bump in Brilliant Stars, and last month we called it out. Brilliant Stars booster boxes were going for about $125 when we did this last month, and we said, listen, a lot of people feel very strongly that Brilliant Stars is going to be one of the top 4 sets in the Sword and Shield era, and we were saying, hey, these at $125, like that's a little bit crazy for a potential top 4 set from an awesome era like Sword and Shield. And this month when we look at it, the booster boxes have come up 6%. Now it's over the $130 mark. And I will say this, you know, Brilliant Stars also had a little bit of a restock. You know, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if there's going to be more Sword and Shield restocks in the future. I just don't know, but I do feel really confident that, hey, listen, at least Brilliant Stars has been through the most recent restock, and now we're starting to see those booster boxes start to inch up just a little bit. Now, I will say this, the singles and Brilliant Stars are still getting their tail kicked. And I say tail kicked because that Charizard at the top is down to $107, and then the rainbow one underneath it is right at the $50 mark. I do think we're going to need to see those Charizards start popping back up, but this could just be reflection of the overall market trend coming down right now. So I want to see these cards gain some momentum before I start really getting bullish on Brilliant Stars, but I totally think they will. And again, when you look at these booster boxes to the average card price right now, they're not that exciting. 16.1 and 15, right? When we looked at Lost Origin just a minute ago, that was at 22, and spoiler alert, we're going to see a couple of them over 20 as we continue to get through this video. So lots of interesting stuff here going on with Astral Radiance and Brilliant Stars. Now, when I get to the next one right here, you know how much I love Fusion Strike. I've been talking about Fusion Strike for the last year. I absolutely love it, and I love this slide because we also have Evolving Skies on it. Now, last month, Fusion Strike singles were 100% in the red. Every single in the top 20 of Fusion Strike last month was down month over month. However, look, we're starting to see some green there, which is really exciting. Again, I don't think this is any indication that the market is turning around by any means, but I do think it's encouraging to see that some of these cards, even though it's only 1, 3, 5% in there, it's exciting to see some of these cards starting to bounce up just a little bit. Now, when you look at Evolving Skies, the Moonbreon is back up. We had talked about that card had gotten down into like $510 range. That's the big chase card, right? Like that's the gold standard for Sword and Shield. So I think when we see the big chase card start to bounce back up, I just think that gives this overall like halo effect for the whole Sword and Shield era, and it makes me feel really good. I also am encouraged by seeing the big booster box in Evolving Skies be flat to just a slight bit positive. I think it's up like 50 cents, which isn't even measurable on a $420 box, but it is up slightly or flat month over month, which is very exciting to me. Now, Evolving Skies is the only set on this entire list of 12 awesome sets from the Sword and Shield era where we see the overall average of top 20 cards actually up month over month. Now again, that Moonbreon went up about $40, $37 compared to last month, so a lot of the lift is coming from there. But then you do see in that top 10, you see 3 or 4 cards up there in the green month over month, so it's nice to see the big chase set, the big chase card, and a lot of the top 10 cards getting some green month over month. That's very encouraging for me. Now, I will also say this, I talked earlier about how we're going to see a couple sets where the average top 20 to booster box ratio is up over 20. Both of these are up over 22. So especially for me, especially in the Fusion Strike space, I think there is a ton of upside in that set. I love that it has 2 chase cards that are up over $100. I love that the big chase card is up at near 200. I think that Gengar is absolutely fire, and I think it's going to age really well. So really encouraging numbers from these 2 sets right here. Speaking of encouraging numbers, I am starting to become more and more bullish on Chilling Reign. I mean, think about this. Look at the single card prices in Chilling Reign. Yes, there's a lot of red on there. I get that. But Chilling Reign is almost 2.5 years old at this point, and 13 of the top 20 cards are over $20. And look at the booster box. The booster box is just a tick under MSRP at $142, and it's up 3% month over month. Everything Chilling Reign is sold out on the Pokemon Center, right? Now, I know Pokemon Center isn't the end-all be-all for prices, but the Elite Trainer box is sold out, the booster box is sold out, the 3-pack blisters are sold out. Everything Chilling Reign is sold out on the Pokemon Center, and for me, that is incredibly exciting. I love the fact that it's 2.5 years old. Again, we can never plant a flag in the sand and say, hey, they're not going to restock this ever again, but as it gets older and older, as every single month passes, I start to feel more and more confident that we're not going to see like a dump truck full of Chilling Reign just get dumped on our laps at some point in the future. So I am really, really excited, if you can't tell, about Chilling Reign. I love a lot of things about this set. I love a lot of the full art trainers in it. I love the fact it's got a couple chase cards over $100. I love the number of cards in it that are over 20 bucks, despite the fact that it's so old. Chilling Reign is on my hit list, and when you look at the average to booster box price right now, 2 months in a row where it is #1 by a freaking mile. It's not even close. It is absolutely crazy. It's at almost 30%. That is telling us that the average of the top 20 cards versus the booster box price doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now. So that has been a long-term indicator of good booster box price growth, so keep that in mind. Battle Styles is another one. We're starting to see Battle Styles booster box price tick up a little bit, right? It's up 4%, and then you see a little bit of green on there. You know, last month we didn't see a lot of green in the Battle Styles space, and sure, overall it's down 6%, but again, we're looking for small indicators here saying that things could be turning around just a little bit. We're not there yet, but I certainly am encouraged by seeing a lot more green this month than last month. Now, getting into these next two right here, we've got Vivid Voltage and we have Darkness Ablaze. Now, Vivid Voltage booster boxes continue to decline. I have been checking these on eBay, and these are routinely selling at auction for under $100. So if you want to find a Vivid Voltage booster box for under $100 and you can stand doing auctions, that's the place to go. Now, it is down 3%. We're seeing a little bit of green in there, but overall their top 20 cards is down 7%. And the average to booster box price, even though that booster box is so low at $99.84 according to Polkadata.io, because the singles cards are so low, that average to booster box price still isn't very high. Speaking about a ratio that isn't very high, Darkness Ablaze there on the right, that has the lowest average to booster box price out of all of the sets on the list. And despite that, the booster box is still up 2%, right up there in the $130 range. I'm a big fan of sealed Darkness Ablaze booster boxes. I just think in the long run, even though the singles in the set aren't that great, it's a Charizard set. And again, age plays a factor in all of these. Vivid Voltage, we know, came out right in the hype of the pandemic. It was printed into oblivion, yada, 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 yada. But guess what? I do think that even though these were printed a lot, I think a lot of them were opened, and I do think that there's going to be some opportunity for these in the long run. And again, when you can get in at a set this age and you can get it for under $100, it's hard to not think Vivid Voltage is a good buy right there. So these two sets right here, not the best from a singles card perspective, but again, who knows where they're going to turn out in the long run. Now, coming in here, we've got Rebel Clash and Sword and Shield base. Both of the booster boxes are down, and I am excited to see the Sword and Shield booster box come down, because this is one of the final ones that I need to finish off my Sword and Shield Arrow sealed booster box collection. I don't know why I haven't pulled the trigger on it. I'm actually glad that I haven't, as I'm just going to sit back here and wait a little bit and see if it continues to decline. And speaking of decline, our biggest top 20 card price regression last month came from Sword and Shield base, and this month it's down another 9%. Now, that's not the biggest out of all the sets that we've looked at, but it is in the top third. So Sword and Shield singles are absolutely getting smashed right now. And the big driver of that is that Marnie full art trainer at the very top. It wasn't long ago that Sword and Shield full art trainer Marnie was going for $70, $75. It was an absolute frenzy on eBay to pick that card up. We have seen that price drop significantly, and we've seen that across several different full art trainers as well. As the market starts to soften, you know, we're starting to see those full art trainers come back down to earth a bit. Now, Rebel, what I don't dislike Rebel at all. I think Rebel has an awesome opportunity to do good. And when you look at it, it has the highest average card price for the top 20 out of all of the first 4 sets. When I'm talking about different eras, I usually break them down into thirds. The first 4, the middle 4, and the back 4. And I do that for Sun and Moon. I do that for XY. I do it for Sword and Shield, you know, because obviously they're different years, and I feel like Pokemon puts different focus on the different thirds. So that is why I think about this. And when I look at these first 4 sets, Rebel Clash does have the the highest average price of the top 20 cards here. Now, the booster box is down under $200. It wasn't long ago where it was over $200. So the booster box is starting to come back down. So these are going to be some interesting things to keep an eye on if you're looking to round out that Sword and Shield sealed booster box collection at some point in the future if these continue to come under pressure. So, you know, at the end of every video, I like to summarize all the stuff we talk about. We look at a lot of numbers and a lot of data, and I tend to talk pretty quickly. But what was interesting thing to me, out of all 12 sets, only one of them saw the average of the top 20 cards go up in price month over month, and that was Evolving Skies. And really, that was only driven because the Moonbryon had such a big price jump over the last month. Now, that's not a bad thing for me. I understand the market's in the middle of a correction, so I didn't expect to see anything different from this. This isn't like a big aha or like a, oh, boo is me moment. Like, this is exactly what I expected to see. What was interesting to me was to see just 5 of the 12 booster boxes went up in price month over month. When I think of sealed in a down market, I think of sealed as being a little more, I don't know, downward price resistant. But 5 of 12 up isn't a big deal. I think that kind of is what it is. We'll have to see how this shakes out. But at the end of the day, too, if you're looking to get some sealed products that you maybe missed out on a year, 2 years, 3 years ago, this could be the opportunity to snag some up at some pretty decent prices. And then 3 of the 12 Elite Trainer boxes were up, right? Lots of downward pressure in the Elite Trainer box space. But 4 of the 8 Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes were up month over month. You know, I know there's a lot of talk about the Sword and Shield era Elite Trainer boxes from the Pokemon Center. They didn't have the stamp promos on them. Are they going to be worth it in the long run? I'm telling you this, if I can get some of these way below MSRP right now, below the price that they're at on the Pokemon Center, I still think they're good buy and holds for the long term. Now, when you look at the top 36 cards, so the top 3 cards from all 12 sets, there's 36 cards, right? 3 times 12 is 36. Only 5 of those are up month over month. So we talk about strength at the top. We talk about in downward markets, a lot of times the rarer cards that, the heavy hitters tend to perform better. Well, these cards are too new to feel that, right? These are still new to the market. These are still flushing their way out. Even though Sword and Shield is a ways behind us and we're well into Scarlet and Violet, guess what? There's tons and tons and tons and tons of sealed Sword and Shield out there that is getting ripped every single day. So seeing only 5 of the top 36 cards up month over month, again, is not a surprise. And we do this video to keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the Pokemon market as a whole. And guess what? To me, there's no significant signs to say anything is changing. I think the market's continuing to soften. I think we're going to continue to see, especially with the Black Friday deals that come out, we're going to get a lot of product ripped. I think we're going to continue to see prices coming down for a little bit. But as I always say, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. We will see. But I will finish off with this. If you found value in this and made it to the end and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you doing? We do fun stuff like this all the time. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. And I hope you all have an epic one. See you, everybody.